The savanna stretched endlessly under a sky the color of pale fire. Acacia trees dotted the horizon, their branches reaching outward like ancient guardians. Ranger Ava Reynolds had been stationed at the reserve for just over 2 years, but she still found herself humbled every morning by the sheer immensity of the landscape. The air smelled of dry grass and dust, and the wind carried faint calls of distant animals. She was performing her usual patrol along the edge of the reserve compound when she first heard the sound. It wasn't the roar of lions or the chatter of baboons, it was softer, almost like a whimper. Curious, Ava followed it to the wooden veranda that overlooked the plains. There, crouched near one of the support beams, was a baby gorilla. Ava froze. The gorilla couldn't have been more than 2 years old, its black fur matted with dust, its small hands trembling. Its wide, intelligent eyes flicked up at her, filled with something Ava rarely saw so raw in an animal, fear mixed with desperate hope. "Hey there," Ava said softly, lowering herself to her knees so as not to tower over the creature. The gorilla extended a tentative arm, and before Ava could even process it, its small hand wrapped around her fingers. She felt the warmth, the fragile strength in that grip. For a moment, they simply stayed like that, two beings from different worlds, connected by touch. Then the little gorilla turned its head sharply and pointed out toward the plains, letting out a short, sharp cry. Ava followed its gaze. The horizon was empty, but the gesture was unmistakable, the gorilla wanted to show her something. Within the hour, the story began to piece itself together. Rangers found faint tracks near the edge of the reserve, boot prints, tire marks, broken branches. Poachers. They had likely ambushed a guerrilla troop that had strayed too close to the open grasslands. Somewhere in the chaos, this infant had managed to escape. Ava's stomach tightened. She knew what poachers did to adult gorillas, slaughtering them for bush meat or capturing them for the black market. If the troop had been attacked, this little one might be the only survivor. The baby clung to her hand tighter, as if sensing her thoughts. "Don't worry," Ava whispered, "we'll figure this out together." Building trust. Over the next few days, the gorilla remained close to the ranger station, refusing to leave Ava's side. The staff prepared a temporary enclosure with food and shelter, but the infant often rejected food from others, eating only when Ava was present. She named him Kumo, meaning cloud, because of the way he seemed both fragile and fleeting, like something that might vanish if left unattended. Kumo's trust in Ava grew quickly. He followed her on her rounds around the compound, mimicking her movements, tugging at her uniform sleeve when he wanted attention. At night, he cried softly until Ava sat nearby, holding his hand through the bars of the enclosure until he slept. But Ava knew this was only the beginning. Gorillas didn't belong behind fences, and she couldn't replace the role of his family. Kumo needed to return to the wild, to a troop that could teach him the language of the forest, the rhythms of survival. The challenge was enormous. Most of the nearby guerrilla groups had been driven deeper into the forest by poaching pressure. If Kumo's family had been wiped out, he would need to be integrated into another group, a process fraught with risk. Adult males were wary of outsiders, and even females could reject a newcomer. Still, Ava was determined. She couldn't let his story end in captivity. The journey into the forest. 2 weeks later, the team prepared to track the nearest known troop. Ava volunteered immediately. She loaded supplies, double-checked her tranquilizer kit, and secured the GPS unit. Kumo, sensing the shift in energy, clung to her arm as if unwilling to let go. Their small team hiked for hours into the dense forest. The canopy swallowed the sun, plunging them into green twilight. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and foliage. Kumo rode on Ava's back, his small fingers tangled in her braided hair, occasionally pointing with soft grunts when he heard forest sounds. On the third day, they finally located signs, broken stems, fresh dung, the faint smell of gorillas lingering in the humid air. The troop was close. But so were danger and uncertainty. If the silverback rejected Kumo, the attempt could end in violence. Ava's heart pounded. The moment of truth. The troop appeared in a clearing, 8 gorillas in total, with a massive silverback watching over them. The young played nearby, while females groomed each other in the shade. Ava held Kumo's hand, crouching at the edge of the clearing. The little gorilla looked at her, then at the troop, uncertainty clouding his eyes. "This is it," Ava whispered. "Go on, little one. This is your family now." She released his hand slowly. Kumo hesitated, whining softly, then took a few steps forward. The troop noticed immediately. The silverback rose, beating his chest once in warning. Ava held her breath. Kumo squealed and raised both arms, a gesture of submission and plea. For a long moment, silence reigned. Then one of the younger females approached cautiously, sniffing the air. She reached out, touching Kumo's arm lightly. The baby leaned into her, making soft grunting noises. The tension broke. More females gathered, inspecting him. The silverback watched but did not intervene. Slowly, the troop accepted him into their circle. Ava felt her throat tighten with relief. She blinked away the sting in her eyes as Kumo disappeared into the group, his small body dwarfed but no longer alone. The farewell. For the next week, Ava observed from a distance. Kumo adapted quickly, learning from the other young gorillas, mimicking their climbing and play. At times, he still glanced toward the forest edge, as though searching for her. Once, he even ran back toward the observation post, gripping her hand before returning reluctantly to his new companions. The day she finally left was one of the hardest of Ava's life. She crouched in the grass, watching him tumble with another juvenile, his laughter like grunts filling the air. "Goodbye, Kumo," she whispered. "Stay strong." The little gorilla looked up, eyes locking with hers. For a fleeting moment, he ran to her, pressing his tiny hand into hers just as he had on that first day at the station. Then he turned and loped back to the troop, melting into the forest. Ava stayed crouched long after they were gone, her chest aching with both loss and pride. A lasting bond. Months later, while on patrol deep in the reserve, Ava caught sight of the troop again. They were thriving, the silverback vigilant, the females calm. Among them, a slightly larger, stronger Kumo bounded through the trees. He spotted her almost immediately. Instead of fear, his face lit with recognition. He bounded closer, stopping a safe distance away. Then, in a gesture that struck Ava like a bolt of lightning, he raised his arm and pointed, just as he had that very first day on the veranda. Ava smiled through tears. He remembered. She lifted her own hand in silent reply, and for a moment, the forest seemed to pause, holding its breath around them. Then Kumo turned and vanished into the canopy, where he belonged. Epilogue. The bond between Ava and Kumo never faded from her memory. To the outside world, it was just another successful rescue, another story of conservation. But to her, it was something deeper, a reminder that trust and love could bridge even the widest gulf between species. In the quiet hours of night, when the savanna winds rustled outside her quarters, she often thought of that small hand gripping hers, of eyes filled with both fear and hope, of a life saved not just by human intervention, but by human compassion. And somewhere in the dense forests of Africa, a young gorilla carried a piece of that bond, living proof that sometimes, survival depends not only on strength, but on trust freely given. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next episodes.